This is the inside of the auto sleeper Burford. If I move to the back of the motorhome, I can come to the main control panel just here, and I can turn the 12 volt on by pressing just here. Along the top we have the external temperature. You'll get this little picture of a sun every time the solar panel is active. We have this lightning strike at the moment because we're currently connected to mains electricity. We have the humidity and then the internal temperature just here. Beneath the main 12 volt on off button we then have water pump on and off. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. We then have water levels, so how much water is in the fresh tank and how much water is in the waste tank. And then beneath that we have power levels. So we have condition of leisure battery, condition of vehicle battery, and then we have the active battery current etc. over here. And then we have the solar and the mains current just here. The main isolator for the internal lights. These can all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. If they are these touch lights, you will need to actually touch them to turn them on. Awning light on and off just here. And then we have battery selection just here, so L for leisure, V for vehicle. Whichever battery is selected on here is the battery you are using to run the back end of the motorhome, and if you are connected to mains electricity, that's also the battery you will be charging. If I now press the cog, we will then go into the settings menu. So we have power settings at the moment for both battery and solar. Just leave them both in smart for charging. It's the easiest option to have it on. They will literally just switch after a few hours and then switch back again. We have automatic tank fill just here for the whale filler. You need this turned on to be able to fill the tank if you are going to be using this. And then we have both waste tank and fresh tank heaters. Again, they need to be activated like they are now. It then needs to drop below about 3-4 degrees outside for them then to come on. Lights that will come on when you turn the main power on, so at the moment you'll see they're all in the off position. You can have them to whatever preference you would prefer. Key beeps on and off, water level alarms on for both fresh and waste tanks. Set the brightness of this backlight and how quickly the screen times out when it's not being used. Set the time and date, and then we end up back at the beginning again. If we now move across to the control panel for the Truma heating and hot water, I can turn the unit on just by pressing here. On initial startup, it'll give you the time and it will also let you know if you have main supply connected. If I now press the button, it will bring up lots of icons, and as I begin to rotate the button, they will start to flash. So if we start with the first icon here, this is for the air conditioning unit and the heating. So if I now click on it, you'll see we have heater and air conditioning. So if we start with the heating, click on it and you'll see the heating is off. All I now do is just rotate and pick whatever temperature I would like it to be inside the motorhome, and it'll go right the way up to 30 degrees. So once you've decided, just click to store it in and you'll see a little flames appeared just above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever it's in operation, it will begin to flash, and it will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. If I now turn the heating back off again, and now go back into it and go to the air conditioning. Again, we can now turn it on by pressing and rotating, and we can have it in vent mode, so it will just circulate the air around the motorhome. We can have it in cool mode, heat, or in auto. So let's go to cool, click on it, select the temperature you would like it to maintain, click on it, and as you can now hear, the air conditioning has come on. You can control the airflow on this dial here, and then on all of these dials. This part here controls where the air comes out, whether it's all at one side or both sides. If I now skip right the way across to the end here, this is for the air conditioning fan speed, so we can have it on low, medium, high or night mode, which keeps it nice and quiet. This is also the circulation fan for the heating as well, which can either be in low or high. If I now move across to the next icon, this one here is for the hot water. So if I now click on it, you'll see that hot water is off. And if I rotate, we can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. If I rotate it again, we can heat it in hot, which will give us a water temperature of about 60 degrees. And if I rotate it again, we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water very quickly. If you do perform the boost and the heating is running, the heating will turn off as it needs to use the extra power. And again, the icon will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. Next we have power source for the heating and hot water. So at the moment, to do the hot water, I am using, indicated by the 2 lightning strikes up there, mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I rotate it, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt, which is very handy if we're on a low amp site to try and avoid tripping. I can use dual fuel, so a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatts, or a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt. These 2 settings are very handy, especially in the winter months. That will help get you up to temperature nice and quickly, and it will only consume gas as it's required. And then lastly, if we have no mains connected, we can solely run on gas. If I now skip past the circulation fan and drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So if I now click on that, you'll see we can set a start time. And then when we would like the timer to finish, and then we just pick what we would like on within that timer. So let's say we want the heater on. And then we want the water at 40 degrees. We want to be using dual fuel. We want the fan in eco mode. Lastly, timer on or off. If I now activate the timer icon will come up there, and now within that time period those settings would apply. If I now go back to it, I can turn the timer back off, and when I go back in, I can then alter it again. Next we have light, and this is for the air conditioning unit's lights. So you'll see if I click it, we can turn it on, and it has a light level up to 5. Next we have clock set. And then lastly we have the settings menu, and within this we have offset for the thermostat that's just there. So if you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. AC set just here, Again, if you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly offset it. Automatic climate control on and off. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of this screen. 12 or 24 hour clock. Language. Index, which is more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software this is running. And then lastly, full factory reset. So from time to time, these control panels can throw up error codes. I can make it do it now if I just go to this control panel and I turn it off. As you can see there, we have W255H appear. The reason it's doing this is because it's letting us know that it's lost 12 volt because I've turned the control panel off. As long as you rectify the problem, 9 times out of 10, the error code will just automatically disappear. When an error code appears, just look in the manual or Google it to find out what the problem is. And as I just said, if it's relatively easy, as soon as you rectify it, it will just automatically go out. If you're finding that that's not the case, if you still have stuff running like I do at the top here, just literally turn everything off, as it were, and then it can reassess a lot faster. If this still does not work, I then always suggest a good old-fashioned turn it off, turn it back on again. And the way we turn this completely off is just by holding the button in. If when you turn it back on you still have an error code, I then always suggest just doing the full factory reset, because sometimes that's all these control panels require. If I now just come to the bench seat just here and remove the cushions, and I now lift up, we have storage beneath. So you can see the pipe for the fresh water tank fill just there, and then we have the back of the LPG fill, and then we have the lithium leisure battery just there, and the main 12 volt fuse just there. We have a few more 12 volt fuses, and as you can see they are labelled up, and they're mainly for stuff on the outside of the motorhome. We then have 2 inspection holes just here, and as you can see I've just removed the covers for the moment. And if I just look down there, you'll see the top of the pressure switch. You can slightly twist it if you are finding that the pump is overrunning when you shut a tap. Never spin it very quickly, it's tiny little movements if required, or otherwise you will throw it completely out of sync. And then if I then come across to the other inspection hole, you'll see there the boiler drain valve. These drain valves are automatic, so if there's water in the boiler and the temperature inside the motorhome drops below about 3 or 4 degrees, this will automatically open and drop all the water out of the boiler, so it frost protects itself. If you are going to manually drain it, firstly make sure that the water pump is turned off, and then come to the top and twist the blue diamond. Once you've done this, you'll see that a little blue button has just popped out at the base of the unit, and it's now draining down. I always suggest that if you are fully winterizing the motorhome, that you then go around and open up all the taps, because this will help release any airlocks in the system. When it comes to refilling the boiler, close all the taps, reset the drain valve, and the way you do that is by turning the blue diamond back to the position it was in, and then pushing the blue button in at the base of the unit. And then once you've done this, turn the water pump back on once you've filled up the fresh tank, and it will then commence refilling the boiler. Let it run for a few minutes and then begin opening up the taps. They'll cough and splutter as they force the air out. Once they're running freely on both hot and cold, then reclose and the system will fully reprime itself. So the only time you're touching that blue diamond is when you're manually draining it down. If it's auto drained and the blue button's popped out and you're trying to push it back in and it's just popping out again, it's just too cold in the motorhome and you'll need to turn the heating on to generate some warmth to allow it to reset. Underneath the other bench seat is literally storage, and this can also be got to from the outside. We have the Avtex television just here. As you can see, it's a 12-volt telly, so it's plugged into the 12-volt socket just there, and then the fly lead just plugs into there. This is also on this side here a DVD player. If I now just turn it on, you'll see that we have the TV guide just here. As you change location, it's going to need retuning back in again, and this big button here is just the retune. Just hold it down, it will take you straight back to the retune menu, then just hit OK and it will commence retuning back in again. The digital amplifier for the television aerial is just located inside the wardrobe just here. You'll see on and off just underneath here, and then control the boost just here. Whilst we're in here, we also have the freestanding table, and then the table pole and tabletop just here, which locates just in the bracket just here. You can also see that we have some of the gas isolation taps for the appliances in here as well. Top one being the cooker, then in the middle we have the fridge, and at the bottom there the heating and hot water. They're all in neon position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say if you do smell gas in the van, it's always better to just go underneath and isolate the gas tank itself. In the overhead locker just here is the Truma iNet box. So the system can be controlled via the Truma app. If you're going to do this, firstly download the Truma app onto your device. Make sure the Bluetooth is turned on and then launch it. Once launched, it will firstly ask you to press the Bluetooth button just here, and it will then send the Bluetooth signal out and you'll be able to connect up to it. Once you've done this, you'll be able to control your heating, hot water and air conditioning unit locally via Bluetooth. You can also, if you want to, purchase a pay-as-you-go SIM card, and it just slots in where my finger is just here. Register it through the app and then you'll be able to control it from much further afield. Microwave just here. The isolator switch for it is just here. This particular microwave does not require a plate. And then we have all the usual. We have the quick start just here and the stop. Then we have defrost, power settings, etc. Then got the crystal glasses. We've also got the remote control for the air conditioning unit in here as well, if you wish to use that instead. Pull out work surface just here, and then beneath that the Dometic fridge. So on and off just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as it's on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently connected to mains electricity, it's put us onto mains with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I was to now go outside and pull the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and then as soon as we start the engine of the motorhome, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep itself cold whilst on the move. We can take it out of auto if we want, so I can manually put it onto gas, I can manually put it onto mains, and I can manually put it onto 12 volt maintain. We're going to get this noise at the moment and this little red triangle because the engine's currently not running. This is also the noise you would get if it was trying to light on gas and it failed to light due to the fact there might be a bit of air in the system. Just press this button to reset it. Temperature control just here, but auto is the easiest function to have it on. Always make sure that when you are not using the motorhome that you turn this off, because if you don't and you leave it on and then you disconnect from the mains, it will then automatically fire itself up onto gas and then deplete your gas tank. Open just here, and then we have the removable freezer box at the top. Extractor fan just here, so we have light on and off, and then we have fan speed. We then have the electric hot plate just here, so this will work like the microwave on main supply. Operates on this here, and then everything else is gas, and it's just push in, twist, and then push the igniter. Beneath that is the grill, and again just push in, twist and press the igniter. And then the oven. Directly beneath the oven, storage for pots and pans. There is also a plug plugged in right at the very back, which is for the hot plate. Safe just tucked in the back of the cupboard here. And then up here we have the Huawei mobile Wi-Fi. So on and off on here, you'll see at the moment that it's asking for the SIM card to be inserted. You will find this in your book pack. To insert it, just take the back off and then remove the battery, and then underneath there you'll see where to put the SIM card in. Pop that in, turn the unit back on again, and then with your device look for Wi-Fi. This will then come up, connect up to it, pay the subscription, and then you can have mobile Wi-Fi into the motorhome. Washroom. So we have the shower just here. the wall swings round, and then the shower screen pulls round to make a shower cubicle. Do make sure that for travel that the shower screen is clipped back. Basin, and then the toilet. To open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever across and then push to flush on the blue button just here, and then close back up again just here. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out, so if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left this open. And then level indicator just here, so this will rotate round to red to let you know when the cassette needs emptying. Smoke alarm just here, and carbon monoxide alarm just here. Just press the buttons every now and then to make sure they are working, as they do require batteries. We then have either 2 single beds, or this can be made into a large double. So if I now just slightly lift up and just pull out, and then do the same on the other side, make them meet in the centre, and then just pop the cushions in, and then as you can see you have a very large double bed. I personally prefer to flip these over as they're less bumpy that way, but again it is just down to personal preference. As you can see, both seats can swivel round, and they swivel on this lever just here. They slide backwards and forwards on this lever here. You can also, by pulling this lever, adjust this part as well. And then on the side here we have height adjustment bar, and this will also height adjust as well. And then you can adjust the rake of the backrest just there, and then we have the armrest.